Hi, it's Mr. Day, and we're going to do some proportions today in preparation for the review and the test coming up. First question right here says, according to the scale on a map, 1 inch on the map equals 12 miles. How many miles are represented by 5 inches on the map? There's some confusion here about students who are saying, well, where's the map? Well, it just says on a map, so just pretend there's a map there. In any case, on these kinds of questions, you simply, with the first sentence, it tells you the first part of our proportion, and we simply convert that information into a fraction. So 1 inch on the map equals 12 miles, means we put 1 inch, okay? Make sure you put the measurement here, 12 miles. And now we're going to put an equal sign, and then we're going to find the next part of this fraction. It says how many miles, so in other words, x, I'm sorry, I made a classic mistake. I'll tell you why in a minute. How many miles are represented by 5 inches on the map? Well, we're going to put 5 inches on the top because we have 1 inch here. Inches on the top, inches on the top. Miles and miles, we don't know how much, so we put x miles. And now we've set up our ratio, our proportion, and now we just have to solve it. I think a lot of people get this easily in their heads, but it's very important to do this process where you set up your ratios and then solve them. So cross multiply, and we get x times 1, or 1 times x, equals 12 times 5, or 5 times 12. They're commutative, so you don't have to worry about which order you put them up. X equals 60, and that's not where you're done with. You have to actually write a full sentence to answer these properly. So it says, how many miles are represented by 5 inches on the map? So we say 60 miles are represented, 60 miles, inches. And if you wanted to word that differently, that'd be okay. You could say 5 inches represents 60 miles. All right, let's move on. This one has two similar triangles, and we're going to find the scale factor that allows us to understand what the corresponding sides are equal to. So let's start with finding the ratio between the two triangles. In this case, it says, by what ratio was triangle XYZ, this triangle right here, enlarged to create triangle LMN? This one's obviously bigger. The way you do that is by comparing sides. So this side here is corresponding to this one here, and I write it as a fraction. So this is as small as I can put actually XYZ, triangle XYZ here, and I put over triangle, I think I call it LMN, right? There we go. So this is how we set it up, and we can do that with the other two sides, 4 and 16. You start to see the pattern, right? 4 corresponds to 16. So always put in the top triangle sides in the top, and then the bottom ones at the bottom. We can actually extend this right on through to this missing side. This is basically side MN. It's missing over, I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. Just keep rolling. I'll just edit that out. The bigger triangle, again, is on the bottom, so we put the missing side MN, and the smaller triangle corresponding to that is a 5. So what we're looking for is a way to find out what this side is. That's one of the other questions here. What is the missing side? That's for this question. But first we're going to realize that, hey, if we reduce these fractions, we're going to get the same thing here as there, and we're basically going to get 1/4. So what that's telling us is that the small triangle is 1/4 the size of the bigger one. In other words, we enlarge this by 4 times. So what is the ratio of the side lengths? Well, that's exactly what it is. They're 4 times as large as the other one. So the small one, or you can say the large one, large ones are 4 times bigger. All right, bigger than the small. And then what's the length of the missing side? Again, we've kind of set that up to figure that out. What we do is just cross multiply as we've done before. And I'm going to write that down here, 4 over 16. And actually, we don't even need to use 4 over 16. We might as well use the reduced fraction. So 1 over 4 equals 5 over the missing side. We could just call it x. Cross multiply, you get x equal to 20, and that's your answer. So 20, and I'm going to put that in here. Instead of the question mark, I'm just going to write 20 and look if that makes sense. Well, yeah, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16. and 5 times 4 is 20, it all makes sense. Basically, the most important thing is recognizing and finding the scale factor, because that can tell you everything that works. Now, in the future, you're going to get questions where the triangles look similar, but they're not, and the way you can tell is that one of these numbers will be off. So that gets a little tricky sometimes, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, just go ahead and learn this problem.